Alright, high five. Bring the energy up. Yeah, nice. Bring the energy up. Welcome back to another episode of the Brotherly Love Podcast. This morning we have
Adam Green.
And we're interviewing a very special guest today, Dean Lucas. Dean, thank you so much for joining us today. See, I'm Cato Sibthorpe, and look, I've been so excited to have you. I've been trying to tee this up for weeks and weeks and weeks. I actually met Dean down at the bars where the Brotherhood boys do the workouts, and we kind of just clicked really quickly. Like, I think I saw your eyes, you saw mine. It's like a true love story.
Eyes connected across the room.
And just had a really good chat, and then invited me onto the podcast. And now you're here, and we're just really happy to have you on, man. You know, you're such an awesome energy. I think when you talk to anyone, you just bring on awesome conversations, and you've got an awesome story. And I'm going to let you dive into that however you want to go into it. And just really grateful to have you in the studio today, man. So welcome, Dean.
No, appreciate it.
Is there a little bit that you can tell us about yourself? Yeah.
Oh, I guess coming in, like when I met you as well, it was one of those things where you say you get along well, but I think I'm in a point now in my life where like I want to be a better mentor. Yeah. And I guess I saw you with the kids and everything, you were doing. And I guess that was a bit that I saw. I was like, oh, this guy's like obviously helping others. And that's a big part of what I like to do, is like help others and learn from other people. And I guess if I see someone down a path that I want to go down, I feel like it's easy to have a conversation with them, because you are attracted to that thing that they are doing, whether it be like helping kids, helping your mates, helping whoever. And I think for me, even just coming up here to Queensland was like a big part of like, I want to change what I'm doing and I want to be able to help more people and kind of broaden my horizons in that way. So I think when I met you, it was kind of like, all right, how do you tick? How do you work? Why are you doing this? And what do you get out of it? And I saw that. And when I was like, straight away, I was like, all right, well, I want to like dig into that and find out certain things. And that was a big reason like coming on the podcast with me, because it's easy to chat to someone when you're genuinely interested. Yeah. And that's pretty much the only people I chat to is people I'm interested in. I don't want to just interview someone for clout or just because you might get better views. Like the conversations are dry. Yeah. They're so shit, man. They're so shit.
Yeah.
When you see, like, when you are generally sucked into a podcast, it's when the interviewer is generally interested.
Hard.
And you can ask like proper questions that you want to know. Like if you listen to one where it's just like, the person doesn't really care, and you can tell, you can feel it. Like you can't fake it. You can't fake interest.
No.
You can try and make it work, but at the end of the day, it's just like, you're not going anywhere good.
Absolutely. I think that's like my favorite thing about you is that like everything that you talk about, you talk with intention, and like we're real big on intention here. I think intention is massive, and everything you say has intention. You almost know what you want to talk about. You know the things you're interested in, and obviously you put that out, and so you're going to get that in return. You know, you're like, I don't want to use the word easy, but it's easy to talk to you because like what you say is interesting as you are interested. So I think this is going to be a great episode.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited.
I feel like I'm kind of like kind of a chameleon in a way. And I think it's I was lucky enough when I was a kid, I traveled a lot around the world because of what my dad did for work. And then I've kind of lived a few kind of crazy lives with being an athlete and being like small town and then going like big city and like all these different things. And I think it's like unintentionally travel like grows you as a person, just seeing different cultures, different people. And like I said before, I think I like to find cool stories out of people. And I really think everyone you meet has a cool story or something you can learn from. Yeah. And I think when you go into it with that mindset, instead of this whole mindset of like, I know everything or that those people aren't for me, it's like, how do you know that if you don't actually dive in? And I think that's one thing I'm joking around with my mate. I'm going to some like influencer party on Friday night, and I'm sure like not all the people there are going to be for me, but I can pick out the bits that I want, and I can almost view it from like a third person perspective and be like, why do you do that? And why do you do this? And understand them better. And then just say the next day I could go to a bush doof and be like shoes off dancing in the dirt. And then I could also enjoy that. But there's parts of that I wouldn't like either, because it's like, I don't want to be a full-time hippie in the forest. I don't want to be a full-time influencer looking down at people, and I don't like, it's all these different things. But I think if you can take a part from all of them and build that into the person you are, you're going to get more out of it.
You get more wholesome.
Exactly. But because I know I've got friends that wouldn't hang out with other of my friends. Like they're kind of like, this is my niche and this is my lane and I stay in it. And I'm just like, that just seems so boring, because you're just going to be stuck in this one way of thinking and being, where if you can separate yourself into heaps of different groups, you're going to learn a bit from everyone. And I think that's going to help you progress as a person.
Yeah, and you get more worldly, and then you've got less judgment.
Yeah.
I think when you've got less judgment, then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about talking to this person or doing this activity or anything like that. You've already shed the layers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to do one thing for too long. I think everyone still knows at their center more or less of which they want to do more of. But yeah, to be able to go and have all those experiences. And I think for you, you are quite worldly. You know, like how old are you?
27.
Yeah, you see, like not many people, you don't meet many people with that mentality in their 20s at all. You know, like usually it starts to come a little bit older, but more and more people, I think, in their 20s are becoming more and more worldly, whether that's got to do with, you know, you can look on social media and you see more parts of the world more often, or there are more people traveling. For you, what do you think was it, and at what age did you really start to get a good perspective shift?
I think because like I traveled as a kid, like when I was like 10, 11, 12, like my dad traveled and he took us with him, which I'm so grateful for. And I don't think you understand the impact that has, why it's happening. But then I remember I'd come back, and I grew up in a small country town, and I would come back and like everyone would have that small country town mindset. And straight away for me, I was like, I don't want to just be stuck here. I want to move on and travel. And it kind of got me the bug as a kid. So I think it was kind of always there in a way. But then I had a bit of an epiphany probably around like 24, I think it was, when I like kind of I think you have big like shifts every like, I don't know, 4 years or 3, I don't know. And it's like, you look back at yourself and you're almost just like, fuck, I'm not that person anymore at all. But I think when I was 24, I had like a pretty like monumental shift in like how I viewed the world, people, myself, and like changed my perspective on how I wanted to go forward, I guess. And that kind of comes back to trying to like get more I get more out of helping people and giving back to people. And I feel like that's where you find like your true fulfillment. So once you shift that from like, I guess, working on yourself or just focusing on yourself and your own happiness and your own goals and whatever, and you start shifting that to other people, I think that's when you start to actually find true fulfillment and happiness, and that keeps going.
100%.
That's so interesting, man. It's like going from when you're a kid and it's all about you, it's all about you. And then you're right, when you start expanding that, it's like, oh, wow, I can actually make a bigger difference here. And you're right, it does start to feel better, but you have to make that switch. And even in, like self-development and goal setting, they always say the biggest goals essentially and the most successful people make visions that include a lot of people. There's heaps of people involved. Heaps of people's success is built with your success.
I think you're more likely to push more when there's someone else kind of like, you see people that have a kid and their career might be a bit flat, and they have a kid and then they'll like peak again. And it's like, because they're doing it for the kid, they're not doing it for them.
Something greater than them.
Exactly. And you see it all the time in sports. You're like, some guy will have a kid or some woman will have a kid, and they'll come back and they'll be like, all right, now I'm doing it for them. And that's more motivating than for yourself.
It's like more accountability almost. Because it's like, oh,
you got someone relying on you as well.
And I think that's why like mentoring can even be good. There's the thought that came in then. It's like, no wonder like mentors typically are like, I'm going to say there's projection here, like have more success than your average person that isn't necessarily a mentor, because they're so accountable and they know they're putting themselves on the line every day. They've got all these people watching them. Like any coach is like, they've got to show up
100%.
way more.
When I started coaching here, I think that was the biggest thing, where it just everything 10x, because all of a sudden I have 50 dudes like watching my every move. So as soon as you have someone else like trying to look up to you or model to you, or you're accountable to them, you are just totally in it, because you can't let them down. It's not just you now. It's not just the self-development. It's the team development. So I think when you start to help other people, firstly, you're serving something greater than yourself, so it's so much more fulfilling. And secondly, you're extremely accountable to them as well. So.
And it's not like you can run away from that and pretend, because like everything you get back from them is a reflection of what you're giving. If you get the best attitude back from them, you're probably doing a good job. Like honest attitude.
I heard a thing, and it's like you go through these like 2 peaks and 2 troughs, and it's like you start off not knowing what you want to do, and then you slowly go up this peak of like self-fulfillment from like just yourself achieving, and you start winning and you're like, oh my God, this is great. And then you win a little bit and you get to this peak, and then you start losing and you come off it, and then you just go back down into this trough, and you're like, wait, like I don't really get that happy from helping myself, and then you start helping others, and then that goes and that goes back up, and then you get back to the second peak, and that's the one you want to stay at, and then you're more likely to stay there because it's like the other people will lift you up, not just from yourself.
Exactly what Guy was talking about in the last podcast with Peter, and Guy was saying they've got this hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You go from like survival to, you know, I think it's shelter or something, and then all the way into belonging, and then self-actualization. And self-actualization is the point where you're like, yes, I've got everything. You know, you might have, you know,
everything below is sorted.
Yeah, everything below you is completely fine. Self-actualization. But then you're right, when you get to that peak, as soon as you get to the highest height, you realize there's another height. And he said after self-actualization, there's a whole nother mountain, and at the top of that mountain is shared actualization. And it's like once you know how to master yourself, and there's nothing more to get from mastering yourself, you're at the top, you have to learn how to give to other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so true. And if you don't learn that mountain, you know it's there, and you slide back down, you've still got that big mountain. That's true, because I've seen people who have it all, and I've met them. This one guy, he was a business mogul, all the money in the world, and he was 50 or 60, and he was sad at the self-development event. And I remember him sharing a story with me. He's like, man, I'm getting into mentoring now after 20 years because I thought I needed every watch, I needed every suit, I needed all these women, but it never made me feel good. And it was only when I started helping out people who were where I used to be is when I started to get the good feeling back, because I just thought, well, I've got all the material stuff in the world, and now I need to start looking out for other people now.
And that's the thing where it comes back. That's where you get fulfillment from, helping others. And that's something that I've learned now. Like I think about this because right now I've got a media guy that we're like trying to pump heap of content out and tell these cool stories. And I'm about to put out a video with a young kid that I've put on my race team. And like, I look at like, hey, and this year I'm probably going to spend like 30 grand on like just media and advertising and like pumping out this storytelling and stuff. And I look like, oh, I could go buy like a nice motorbike or a nice car or something. But like, what feeling will that create in me? Like if I just say you buy a nice car, it's like, sweet, you get this like, sweet, I got a nice car, you feel good for a little bit, but then that rubs off. Where if you can put that money into like helping someone else in their career or actually pushing them forward. And the other thing as well, me and my mate joke about this, it's like, it's a win-win. So like if we do this and it doesn't go the direction we think with like maybe getting sponsors on board or getting the views or whatever, it's like we've just got this cool content that we're going to look at later in life and be like, when I'm 80 and look, we made these cool videos that inspired kids to get on their bike and go and like push themselves and be better. And like, for example, this is like a bit of a full circle moment. On the weekend, there's this guy, Sam Hill, and he was like the man when I was growing up on mountain biking. He was like 4-time world champion, like just the man. And as a kid, like I remember I brought the same gear that he wore and went out and pretended to be him, like rode my bike and channeled that, like I'm this guy. And like, I don't think you can even put into like words the effect that had on like me as a young boy and how that pushed me forward in my career. Yeah. And then at the race, I went up and interviewed him, and I was just like, told him that story about how like I literally pretended to be you. That's how much of an impact you had on me, and how you've inspired like hundreds if not thousands of people around the world to race their bike. So now in turn, like I want to be that kind of character that I can just by doing what I'm doing and putting out the content and getting the results and speaking these words to motivate kids to either be better or push them down a direction that's a positive one.
I love that. What interests me when you say that is like, only now after you've gone through the whole journey can you look, okay, I want to spend 30K on the advertising and the pushing of this thing. But I think it's important at the same time to do, like if you're on the process of going up, don't be mistaken. So I think you have to make it all about you for a point in time, you know, and I say this from my own experience. I was getting into coaching and self-development, and because I've only done so much in my life, I've only done so much and experienced so much, and I know I can be a great coach and I know I can be of great value to other people, but because I realized, fuck, I'm putting so much effort and energy trying to help other people, and I actually haven't finished helping myself. And I kept saying, I'm going to go do these trips and go have this fun and spend my money on me. And I kind of kept pushing that away. But once I realized, I was like, no, I'm actually allowed to, you know, spend money on myself. I'm allowed to put myself first and do those things. It just makes sense what you say. Like once you have the journey first, do it for you first. Do it for you first. I think it's a balancing act with it for sure. For sure. And then I think once you've sort of done that, or at least feel fulfilled for an amount of time, then go give back, you know, because sometimes I believe,
because I've seen people get resentful for helping, and they don't have themselves, and then they put themselves into a hole and they can't pull themselves. Yeah.
I've done that.
So
for sure.
That's the thing. I think you want to be selfish in a way to push yourself forwards, but you've also got to be like giving yourself enough self-love and care and putting yourself in the situations you want to be in.
An example there. Every time I used to get a big bunch of money, I used to tell myself, I'm going to go skydiving. I'm going to buy $2,000, $3,000 worth of skydive jumps and just go away for a week or two and just jump. I used to tell myself every time, and every time I got the money, I used to sit and go, oh, I'm gonna spend it on self-development courses, and I would just spend it on self-development courses instead. And doing the self-development, I'd be learning and growing so much, but I was like, I kind of just wish I would just go skydiving, and I could sabotage myself every time. And then I realized, when did I decide, that skydiving wouldn't be self-development, or like putting this money on myself wouldn't be self-development or something like that. So
you gotta treat yourself. It's like a treat, like, or just like a dog. You do something good, get a treat. Yeah, it's gonna encourage you to do more. And don't be so hard on yourself either. I don't think when you aren't doing, like, that's the thing. It's like, I think we get stuck in this mindset of like, oh, if I do that, that's breaking the cycle of this like motivation or motivation I've got going. Like, I need to like keep doubling down on my success and keep doing this and keep doing this. And you get stuck in this tunnel vision way of thinking, which can be positive and it can push you forward quite quickly.
Have you done that before?
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I like, when I would go overseas, I wouldn't even try and travel around to see other places, because I'd be like, I have to train, I have to be in this spot, I need to do this.
Yeah, wow.
And like, you're going around the world and you're not actually really exploring or seeing it.
That's hectic.
And so it's like, you'd be on the other side of the world and everyone's like, oh, you got this crazy like cool job, which it is cool. But when you get stuck in like one spot and that's all you think you have to do, you kind of, you're not actually living so much. And like, I think people see it as like, oh, you're over in this epic spots in the world, but you're like, I don't leave the car park and the place that I'm like the racetrack is like here, the car park's here, you go between the two and then you go to the next one. And that becomes a bit of a cycle where you're like, you're not really seeing the world. And like, I've gone to some places like for over 10 years now, and I've never really explored them, just because you get, just say you land, you go straight to the track, you want to recover because you've just been like jet lag, so you sleep, you get like a masseuse or something, you go walk the track, you go back, recovery again, you practice, then next race. So it's the thing. So I think it's like you say, you can get stuck in that mindset of just like, I can't, like, just for example, skydiving or whatever, I could say maybe if I go to New Zealand, I could go bungee jumping or go on like a whitewater rafting or something, like break up the cycle. And definitely over the last 2 to 3 years, I think after COVID, that was a big one of like, this could all get taken away like that. So if you've got the opportunity to do something, do it. For example, like I went to, do you know Chernobyl in Ukraine? Yeah. It's like where they had the nuclear reactor meltdown. So that was like a bucket list thing for me. And I was in Europe and I was like, I'm just going to go to Chernobyl. Literally, it was like, I was just like, fuck it, why not? And I remember I flew there by myself and went and like around Chernobyl, just like scoped it out. And it was just like something that I've wanted to do for a while. But I think if you got those things, you keep telling yourself like, I want to do it. Like I've got a thing that I say where it's like, people say one day. I just say one day's code for never. It's like if you want to do it, set a date. Write down a date.
Like, say when. Don't say one day. Just say when.
Do it. Whenever someone says, "Oh, one day we'll do that," I'm just like, you just never.
And it's interesting how you can, as soon as you actually make a date for it, you can feel the fear in your body. It's like, oh crap, I actually have to do that. It's like,
exactly.
And it's like, why was I self-sabotaging this whole time? I'm not doing that. Like for what? That's an interesting.
You're scared, man. People are scared of change. People are terrified of change.
It's like, what's so bad that's gonna come of you actually doing the thing you've wanted to do for so long? Like that's almost, and you're going to enjoy it.
Well, you could fail at it or you could succeed at it. And either way, you might not, you think you can't handle either one of those options.
But it's so interesting thinking about like the easiest thing, like going skydiving or going to Chernobyl, and you put it off for so long and then you go and do it. And did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was sick.
See, like it is interesting. Like we are so interesting.
And the fact now that like obviously Russia's invaded there. So like, I don't know if like, exactly. Yeah. And that's like, the thing is with like the COVID, like, you didn't know if you'd be able to do it again. It can be taken away like that. Like, and that got taken away and that could be taken away forever.
Big
and like,
lessons.
you don't know if the war went down there, it got bombed, it blew, like it's gone. That option is gone completely. So it's like, if you have an opportunity to do something, stop fucking around and just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
You only, it's so cliche. You only live once, but like going back to, I want to hear more about, like you were saying you were 24 and then you started to realize you wanted to be helping people. How did the path go from there?
So that all kind of stemmed. This goes way back. So I was kind of, so when I was it goes way back and then it kind of comes forward again.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I think I was about 10, 11, like grew up in like a really positive, healthy family, but we grew up in like quite a remote place.
Yeah.
Went to a school where there was like just like country town, no kids, and literally had like 2 people in my year group.
Wow.
So just like super isolated, super lonely. Like I was younger, just got picked on a bunch, wasn't that smart, like kind of like spiraled down into this like just negative mindset.
Yeah.
Anyway, this went on for maybe like a couple of years where I was just like, this is fucked. Like imagine like super sad kid, no friends, even though like loving family, loving brother, had like motorbikes, like from the outside looking in, you're like, this kid's fine. Anyway, this went on for a while and just kind of spiraled down. And then eventually I was like, nah, don't want to be here anymore. This is fucked. Like as a kid as well, you don't like depressed, like you don't know you're depressed as a kid.
Yeah.
Like you're just sad.
Yeah.
So when I was about 11 years old, I was like, nah, don't want to do this anymore. Don't want to live. This is fucked. I'm out. So I tried to actually commit suicide when I was 11. Wow. And when that happened, that was like, and it was so fucked. I can like remember back to the day. And I remember like I tried to hang myself in my bedroom.
Jesus.
And then didn't end up doing it. I couldn't make it work for whatever reason. And then I just remember like laying on the floor and I had like this bunk bed with like these metal pole. And I just remember laying there like in tears, just like hitting my head against this like thing. Just like, you couldn't even do that. Like just, I remember that moment laying there, like how fucking sad and depressed I was. And then I remember my mum walked in and she like kind of saw the belt and stuff and was just like I always think back to if I did kill myself and then my mum would walk into that room, like that feeling that I would put into her body. And I heard this quote where it's like, suicide doesn't stop the pain, it just passes it on. And I think about that pain that I would have put into my mother's body and like that's unthinkable. So anyway, after that had happened, my parents ended up moving me out of the school I was in to a new school. And then around the same time, I kind of found writing. So like writing was kind of like my savior in a way, like, cause then it gave me something to like strive towards. It gave me a community of people and I was good at it. So then you kind of get like praise for that. And it just pulled me out of this like lonely, isolated, depressed state and gave me this like more purpose to do and be more. Yeah. And this went on and kind of pulled me out of it. And then it just wasn't even a thought in my mind. But then fast forwards to when I was 24, I had this massive birthday party. And I remember I was at this birthday party and I was really like stressed out about everything being perfect and like just running around. And you know, when you have your own party, you don't actually enjoy it because there's so much going on.
Pressure on you.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm running around trying to like have a good time, but like still just stressing out. And I remember I got to this point where I was kind of on this like stage and this probably sound like there's the only way I can describe it is like I looked up and I had this weird like out of body experience where I like looked back at myself and like shot up. Imagine you like zoom out of like Google Maps.
Yeah.
So like shot up in the sky and then just quickly shot back down and kind of went back into my body. And then it just gave me this newfound perspective on life in general and everything that was happening. And just like all the worries just like left my body instantly. And I just had the like absolute best night of my life and just found this like new level of happiness. Yeah. And then I was just thinking like the next day, I was just like, I thought back to that time when I didn't want to be alive and how sad I was then. And I just felt like the pendulum had finally like swung. And this was after like a year, I just achieved all these goals in my racing. I was like with good people. Like it's just all these positives led to that moment. Yeah. And then I thought from that negative to now this positive. And for whatever reason, I was like, I need to share that story with other people because of like, I was just like, I'd been there and now I was here. So I wanted to help anyone that was there and show them that, hey, you can get back to here. So I literally was just, I just brought a van and I was like, I'm going to go on a road trip up to actual Queensland here. There's a mate of mine, Jace McAlpine. He runs a podcast called Gypsy Tales. Anyway, I didn't know him at the time, but I knew of his podcast, but I didn't know him personally. So I was like, hey, like, can I come on your podcast? Like, I've got some cool stories. And he was in action sports. I did mountain biking. They kind of like, he knew friends of mine. I knew friends of his. So it kind of linked up. So I came up, pretty much just shared that story that I just talked to you guys about on it. And it was like the first time, because I was really ashamed of it. I was like really like ashamed of that I would try and even do that. And I wouldn't talk, like no one knew about it. Like it was something that I heard, like my family knew about, that was it. But from that moment when I reached this like new level of happiness that I was like, well, now I need to share that I I was here and now I'm here. And I just felt like people could get so much out of that.
Yeah.
So I came up, I opened up about it on his podcast, first time like ever talking about it on this like massive scale. And the ripple effect was like pretty overwhelming. Like people like reached out to me and told me like how much it helped them. They've been in a similar spot. Like it's so good that you're actually being open and so on and so forth. And that's when it kind of hit me that it's like, okay, this feeling I'm now getting out of this has now lifted me even higher.
Wow.
And that when it came back to me that like, okay, this is to get that level of happiness is to help others. And if you can help others through like your story of like being at this low point and learning from that and then progressing and pushing that forward as a positive, I think that's where you kind of, and then from that moment on, it's kind of changed my whole perspective on how I want to help others and go forward and do more. But it was from that point, and then honestly from there my whole life has changed. Like who I've wanted to be around, how I carry myself, how I view the world, how I view others. Like it was like this monumental shift in who I was as a person. And it all came from, I guess, that low and then that high and then sharing both.
That's so cool you were able to pinpoint it to like that moment at the birthday party was just like in and out of the body. Like, was there something in your mind that triggered that, or was it just like I was just standing there and all of a sudden this happened? Like was there something in your head you said or you just felt it?
I remember just being there and I was just like I remember thinking like why am I so stressed about all this? And I remember I like went out and I just like took some deep breaths, and then I just remember looking up and I just had this weird like out of body experience. And it might sound weird, it might sound whatever, but I love it. But literally from that point my whole life has changed as a positive.
The gratitude and stuff.
Well, I talked to this girl about it and she was saying it was just like, some people go through this kind of like awakening thing where they kind of, and it was just honestly the biggest thing was just a different perspective of how I viewed myself and how like small and insignificant all these like worries and issues and everything are, and like just be positive and happy because it's like we're only here for like a blink and it's like that's all you get. So just enjoy it for what it is. So that was
I love that so much. I think that's so cool. Like that you could pinpoint that, and also that you said, once you were that happy, you were like, I have to do something with this happiness.
I've got to share it.
Like it's now I'm this happy. Like what am I just going to keep trying to get happier? It's like how much happier can you get? Once you're happy, you're happy. I don't think when you're sad, all you want to be is happy. But when you're happy, you're not sitting there going, I want to be more happy. It's like you're just content, contentness almost. So it's like, share that round. And I know that you can help people way more when you're either content or you're happy, because you haven't got to worry about things that are on your own plate. You're usually overflowing, and I think that's a really good position to be in when you want to mentor and help people. Is like if you're overflowing, you can just give and it never drains you. And it's
so contagious as well. Like I remember when I was in that point of my life, like I'd wake up every day and almost be like, are you still this happy? And I'm like, like it was like, whoa, you almost wait. I was like almost waiting for it to wear off in a way. And I think from that point on, like my base level of happiness and just fulfillment has lifted. And obviously you have up and down days, but like I've never dropped below a certain way. It's always just gone here and then I haven't gone below it.
I really love that, bro.
I think you have that like, that moment when you had that out of body thing. It's really cool you said it, because I had like a similar experience where I was just in the shower and I remember it so vividly where I just, because that's like a stoic practice to look at the world from bird's eye view and you understand that nothing's really that bad. I remember sitting there like in the shower all sad, and then he's like, all right, do the thing that the guy talks about, and I looked at the world at bird's eye view, and ever since then it's like that I use that little tool to backtrack if I'm ever feeling low. And just bird's eye view, there's not really that much of an issue. I can solve this, and if I can't, why am I sad about it? And like you did that without even, like it just happened to your body, so that's cool. But that whole base level of happiness, I think it would have all come from that moment where you just realize like, why am I stressed? Why am I worried?
That's so hectic. Well, like as you said that, it made me realize like, I think that's why I love skydiving so much, because bro, you're in the airplane, and I just remember being there on the first one I ever did, being like, oh, all my problems are on the ground. Like I'm physically so much higher than my problems are actually down there. And I just remember being on the plane just so chill. And then you're jumping out of the plane and you're just like, I don't have any problems. And I remember landing and coming on the ground, and it's like I actually separated from my problems. So then when I stepped onto the ground, it was this feeling of like, oh, if I can feel that up there, then I can feel the same thing down here. Like it's all good.
It does change how you feel. Like I know I've always been in a plane and you look down at like these cities and you're just little lights. Like it's just these little lights, but when you're down in it, it seems like so overwhelming and so massive, but you pull yourself out like a few thousand feet or whatever, and it changes everything.
Even when you just go like 10 stories up in a building and you're looking down, it's like you've separated yourself from the chaos for like enough
Everything
time.
seems so small.
And it's, again, it's just perspective.
Your problems are so small now because it's like you're looking at your problems so far away. It's like it's not in your face all the time. But when you're immersed in the problem, sometimes if you don't have the tools and the strategies to deal with it properly, I think you do need to remove yourself sometimes so you can see it. And whether you do it visually in your mind or you physically take yourself out of that environment for enough time so that you can get a better tool or strategy to come back in. And it's not about escaping forever. You can't jump out of a plane and stay floating. No. You're going to come back to the ground eventually, and you've just got to be prepared for that. You know, you've got to jump back into the battle.
Well, there's always a problem to solve. There's always something to overcome. Like someone's like, I don't know if I heard it, might have been a Jordan Peterson thing, but he talks about like how you're going to lose this game. Like you're going to die at the end of it. So it's like, there's always, you're not going to win at the end. Like it's, what do they say? Life's a fatal disease that we've all got. So it's like, if you're that worried about everything else that's like in between there and by the time you die, it's like just enjoy what you got, why you've got it, and don't get so caught up, and just get good at problem solving, man. And and slow down as well. Like people get so rushed on trying to like solve stuff straight away, and it doesn't matter. Like I was talking to someone the other, like I had this quote this guy told me, and he's just like, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. And like in grand scale it is like realistically, how often do you stress about something, whether it be like a job or like a deadline or something, and then you'll get to it and it'll be finished, and then you'll be like, all right, that's good, but then it's like, oh, the next thing, and then you get so caught up in that as well. I'm like, there's always going to be something that's going to be overwhelming in a way, but if you just deal with it in the process that you know is the best for you, then it's just like, then you'll get it done. 100%.
I've been with a mentor recently, been doing a lot about problem solving. He always says like, you should always try to solve things like obviously at your own pace, but even more so solve things without lifting up your head and looking what other people are doing. You know, like if you have enough time in the day to look up and look at someone else's process and they're doing better than you, like what have you got in defense of yourself for saying, oh, I'm not this or I'm not that or I'm not good enough? Like you're going to compare yourself to other people.
But even ask for help. Like that's the thing. It's like you see someone doing better than you, like someone, I heard this thing, it's like, it's good to learn from your own mistake. It's better to learn from someone else's. So it's like learn from theirs and ask them for help. Like I think males are so shut off where it's like, oh, if someone's doing better, they don't want to ask because they like the ego gets a bit dinted. But it's like, men
want to help men anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And people love helping. Like if you ask someone, like I learned this quick in BJJ, jiu-jitsu, where like if I just ask someone, like you look like kind of silly at one time, maybe that you don't know how to do something, but as soon as they start helping you, they'll want to keep telling you all these cool things. So I'll ask like a brown belt for help. I don't know how to do this, and then he'll show me 5 other cool ways to do it too, and I just got so much better, so much quicker. And like I think a big thing, you're right, like ask for help. Like no one's gonna be like, oh, this guy's asking for help, he's an idiot. You're gonna be like, fuck yeah, I want to help you, because people like giving as well. So it's gonna help you.
And that'll put them on a bit of a pedestal because they'll be like, oh, I know something. It makes them feel smart as well. So it's like everyone kind of wins in that scenario. But
it's a win-win.
I know people don't like to look dumb, and that's the thing. It's like you're gonna look cool, but you're gonna get choked out because you don't know the moves. It's like eventually you're gonna look dumb. Like, well, I don't even say like asking like there's no dumb questions. If you don't know, you don't know.
If you ask it twice, then it's a dumb question.
And that's the thing. I think that's the biggest thing about problem solving is like too many people, and I think you're right, I think men do this, like too many people are like so scared of looking and sounding like an idiot and sounding so dumb. And I know this because my mentor always says, man, I've done this, I've done that, I built these businesses, but then I won't know how to do the most simple thing on the computer, and then I got to go ask my girlfriend, when most people would be, you know, too prideful to go and ask someone for help. If you're totally okay with being the dumbest person in the room all the time, you will be the most successful, because then you ask all the questions of the things you want to know. You'll never hold yourself back. If you want to learn, if you look at someone change a tire and you're this big man with all this success and you know how to change a tire, and you have the guts to walk up and say, hey, how'd you do that? You know, when it's so, you know, beneath you or something like that. And I use air quotes because people put these value judgments on different things in the world, including myself. It's like, when you can just let go of that and allow yourself to be dumb, it's actually so fun being a beginner. Like
you learn so much quicker.
Beginner's mindset is so fun. I think being a student to life is the most interesting thing you can do.
And when you don't care either. Like I know like I've just got into like skiing and snowboarding, and when I was doing it, like I just probably look like a goon, but I don't give a shit. I really don't care. But then it's funny, like in like mountain biking in my world, I probably wouldn't want to look like that, but you care for some reason because you've built up this image of what you know you should look like. But like even surfing, man, I was like, I look like a kook at the start, and you're kind of like, you just don't give a shit because you're having fun. It doesn't matter like how.
No one could say anything to you that's gonna make you move because you're just like, I'm just learning, bro. Like I don't.
And then how much does the guy look like judging you? He looks like the wanker because it's like, what, you're judging this guy that like you learnt once. You didn't come out and you weren't a perfect surfer.
100%,
you probably didn't know because you were a kid when you learnt, so you probably just picked it up in a way that like you were having fun, but now you judge other people for like, don't judge anyone for giving something a try. Like that's the biggest thing. And I think we live in a world that's like kind of tall poppy syndrome where it's like you get put down for like having a go, which is like the biggest load of shit. It's like, oh, that guy's trying. Oh, what a dickhead. And you're like, what do you want to do then? Okay, give up.
That's entitlement though. I reckon that's entitlement because I reckon people have this belief in their head. It's like, oh, you're trying to get successful. No, only these type of people are successful. They're either lucky or this or that. It's just like,
I just think it's a bad mindset because I grew up in a school that was just like that. Like cross country came, if you start running, like, who's this fucking guy running? Let's just walk and, you know, smoke a dart in the bush. But when it came to like, I moved to a different school, I realized like, I was the kid that wasn't trying. Everyone around me is trying at this new school I went to. And now I'm like the goose because like I'm losing everything. But there were kids that are like, the kids that aren't trying in school think it's too cool. They're the ones that aren't trying to succeed when they get out. And they're the kids like now that you look at like they're the losers because they haven't really done anything.
Dude, like, and that's when I went to school, like I got heaps of shit for racing mountain bikes, man. Like that wasn't cool. Like that wasn't cool. I wasn't playing football or soccer or like a team sport. So all these people that give you shit and now on Instagram, they'll comment and be like, oh man, you're killing it. I'm like, but that's how it works. Like everyone wants to give you shit until you start winning and then they want to be your best friend. But even that's a massive...
Or even people want to be their best friend when they realize that they're a loser.
Yeah. Well, they don't. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I knew this guy once upon a time when I was picking on him for doing the thing that now he's good at. But that's probably the biggest thing that I've noticed about moving to the Gold Coast is small towns, small-minded people, they'll put a ceiling on your success because they don't want to see you like excel in something that they couldn't. But up here, man, like everyone's like, oh, you having a crack? Like I'm having a crack too. And like just seeing, and not even, people don't try and push you up here. They just do it from what they're doing. Like just seeing people get after it themselves will motivate you. It's like they don't have to come and say, hey, you should do more. They're just hey, like I'm doing this. This is really cool. Do you want to have a crack with me or what are you doing? And they'll like lift you up just by their like energy that they're carrying. And that's something that's like so refreshing for me. And that was like a massive factor of why I wanted to come here. Because every time I'd come up here, I'd just be motivated to better myself in some way. Where back home it was almost like you better yourself, and then people are like,
I get that.
Why? Like why?
Yeah,
it's just like because it's good, man.
I love when my parents lived in terms of like location and aesthetics, like a beautiful home and all that. But when I go home, I'm just not inspired.
No.
Like I'm not, and it's like nothing against them. It's a different way of living. But you're right. When I come here as well, I feel the same thing. Like I don't know. It's just a good area to be.
There's an energy here. There's a lot of people that didn't live here originally. Like they moved here.
Yeah.
There's some kind of energy that draws people in that want to succeed and do well. And there's just now it's just this huge community of people who are like getting after it. And you're so right. Like they don't have to say like, oh, you should be getting after it. They just get after it and lead by example.
Yeah. The lead by example is massive for me at the moment. And it's, I learned it, and I learned it especially with my brother because I kept on trying to push him to do more and be more and all this stuff. And eventually I was just like, you can't, it's like the whole like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. And it's just like I learned a while ago that hey, I'm not going to try and push my beliefs on people that don't want to hear it. I'm just going to put out this certain amount of like evidence that hey, I'm doing this as a person. And if that can affect someone in a positive way, then they can take it. But I don't want to go push it down someone's throat. And it's like
resentment too.
Exactly. Like I remember there's a girl that trains at the gym I go to. Her name's Olivia May, and she's like a sprinter. And she was putting up these videos doing like chin up challenges. And I just remember she had like a week where she just kept doing like these and she was just pumping out chin ups. And I remember watching them like, I'm going to go do some chin-ups. Like it just motivated me. And she wasn't like saying like, hey, you should do this challenge or anything. She was just getting after it. So I saw that and I was like, and then when I met her when I was at the gym, I was like, oh, thank you for like motivating me through that to push myself. And then it kind of made me think, oh, hey, maybe I should put out more content like that could help people. And then I've started doing that. And like, for example, like my mum called me the other day and she's like, I've been seeing all your fitness videos and now I'm going to do yoga and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, like that's such a big win that I've motivated my mum to get more into fitness.
I like and it's how is that with your content? Do you get that a lot? Sorry.
That's really. Can you
angle your mic towards your mouth.
Yeah. How's that?
Just a little bit, yeah, that's good.
Is that better?
I just thought I'd give a moment for that to stop.
Yeah, the garbage truck, man. Great timing. We good to go?
We need to keep that in mind.
Sorry, Chief.
Yeah, the timing for it, yeah. Anyway, we're good to go. Sorry to interrupt.
Nah, easy as.
So how is your creating content? I keep hearing, like, I really like how you're saying storytelling with the content, because I'm really intrigued by that. With the content you're making now, what's your direction? What's your push with it? What do you want to let the world know?
I want to inspire people to do more.
Yeah.
I want to inspire people to like go have a crack and like kind of think outside the bubble and go and just do stuff that I think they wouldn't normally do. Like I love when you see, like for example, we made this video called Clarity, and it was pretty much based off this change in mindset, and I have this like newfound clarity to move my life and go to this new place and do all that. And it was just like the story we told in the video was exactly the story that I'm living. Like I went and lived in my van. I traveled up here in my van. I got up here. I'm like starting this new life. And it was like, we just put that into this film, and it was just kind of to like show like, hey, I've taken the time to view myself and analyze myself and then make a change moving forward. And then put that in a story to maybe have someone else watch that and go, oh shit, like maybe I need to view myself. Maybe I need to change something up. Like maybe this isn't working. Cause like the whole when you do the same thing over and over again and you're not getting the result you want, you need to obviously change something. Yeah. And like we said before, though, change is scary. Yeah. And even like leaving where I used to live, like it wasn't like, it's not an easy thing to like leave your family, leave your friends, start a new life somewhere else. But I think if you can like capture that, put it into a video that then inspires people through like with writing and stuff and all of that, I think you can get a pretty good reaction and you can make people actually view it and then make a change in their life. Yeah. And that's what I want to keep doing. I want to be able to make really, like, I want to make art. Like, I think storytelling through art is really cool. Because I've in the past, we've made like writing videos and the writing's cool and the scenery's cool, but there's no real depth to it. Yeah. It's like it's like, oh sweet, you're riding a bike good. Like could maybe that'll make me try and ride better to some kids, but it's to like the greater.
It's more than what you are now as well. It's like you sound like you're inspired by so much more. Like there's so much more to you. And if what you're inspired by is that so much more, then put that out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's energy. And if you love it and you're feeling good from it, then other people are going to be drawn to that.
Exactly.
And what do you see that as? Like when you say art, is it like a collection of different photos and videos and like
it'll be like I guess like a series of different videos. Like we just actually finished making one. It's called A Brighter Tomorrow, and it's about me and this young kid Zach Bradley that I help out in my race team. And we go through like a whole weekend together, and it's like the process from like we went and like did like a cold plunge in the morning, and we're doing breath work and like talking about like the whole weekend and like setting intentions and stuff, and then it's us practicing through the week and kind of shifting the mindset of like, you've got to win. The only thing is winning. It's like, no, like enjoy the weekend with your friends, enjoy it with your family, enjoy the whole process of where you are in your life right now. Because as a 15, 16-year-old kid, like those are the best days of your life in terms of racing, in my opinion. Like my best years were when I was coming up and like learning and progressing and being around like all your mates. And I don't know, for me, that was the funnest time for me. So if I can help him, it's like, how often do you look back at an experience in your life and go, oh, fuck, man, that was the best time of my life. But in the moment when it's actually happening, you don't appreciate it. Yep. So it's taking the time to actually, in moments in time, stopping and appreciating them right now and not appreciating them in a year's time. Because I think we get so lost into the whole next. I like
that a lot. That's just simple gratitude. That's just simple gratitude. And it's so easy to do, but it's so hard to I don't want to say it's hard to remember. It's not even hard to remember. It's just like,
it's not hard to remember, but we do get lost in like the next. I got a tattoo on my side, and it was like, because I had a moment of like clarity with us, and it just says, be here now. No, just be here now, be there then, and smile the whole time. Nice. And the thing, I was in London or just outside of London, and I remember being so ready to come home because I'd been over in Europe for like 4 months, and I was like so just like, fuck, I want to get home. And we had a van that kept breaking down, and I was so in the future. And then I had I think I left something in this van that we dropped off at a workshop, and I had to run back to get my headphones or something, and it was raining. And I remember I was just like walking in the rain, just like, fuck, like why am I like, I don't know, just like you're just in a negative spiral. And I started just like, fuck, I'm just going to run in the rain. So I started running in the rain, and then I just started like thinking about this moment right now. And then I started like kind of laughing. And then I was just like, I'm in the middle of like England with my girlfriend at the time, in like the best years of my life, like be here now. You're going to be home eventually and then you'll be happy. But I was like, I fully flipped myself out of this negative mindset. And I remember I ran and got my headphones, put some good music on. And I was just running through the rain in like near London. And I was just like, life's fine. Life's good. And that's why I kind of got that tattoo to like remember that moment of like, just in that moment, like everything's fine. Like you get so stressed out about what's next.
Yeah, we look at the vibration of emotions a lot, and you look at the vibration of emotions and desire, right? Do people think desire is a good thing? Oh, what do you desire? But it's actually an extremely lacking emotion, and it's actually desire is below anger on the vibration of emotions. And so when you're sitting there like, oh, I want this, you're desiring, therefore you're lacking. Guy talks about this a lot. It's like you're putting yourself at such a disadvantage, but when you can just let go of the desire and then flip that, put straight into gratitude of, yeah, you're right. What's happening right now? What's good? You're like, just something as simple as putting on some good music completely can like change your mood.
Flip it, yeah.
And that thought of just like, let's let go of the desire. Let's let go of it. It's not serving me now. Okay, where can I be right now? And some people are working jobs that they've been working for months and months and months, and they're sitting there going, oh, I'm just waiting for this, I'm waiting for that. And it's like, well, just let go of that for a second. Where are you right now? What in life can you sit and enjoy and be grateful for? And what can you be grateful that you're working towards doing instead of sitting in the crap every single day? And it's funny because usually when you can remove the desire, all of a sudden there's no hurdle in the way that's going to stop you from going and actually creating and doing the things that you want to do. Like, it's like that stepping stone is out of the way. The desire, the negative emotion is stopping you from doing the things that the desire image is creating,
Because you normally get there and it's not as good as you think it is anyway. Like how often do you order something on the internet and you're like, oh, my shoes here yet, or my shoes here yet? And they get here and you look at them for 2 seconds and you go, It's like this massive build up to something that like doesn't matter. And that could be in like a job or like whatever. It's like you put this pressure on yourself and this excitement for something that it kind of doesn't.
The chase.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. It's just like, just enjoy the process and be in those moments, and then what comes up, and then be happy when it does come up, but don't let it consume you in a way that's like, that's all you're focused on.
Yeah.
Be here now.
Those, that story with the rain, like that was like, whether it was intentional or not, you just change your perspective again. Like, oh, this could be a fun thing. Like, do you do that all the time? Was that like a practice thing, or did you just one day just start doing it?
I think you've got to be conscious of it. Hey, like there's so many times when, and the other thing I hate is when people give you the, like, almost give you permission to be angry in a situation. Like that's something I really hate, when just say something bad's happened to you and then your friend's almost like, oh yeah, you should be angry. I'm like,
why aren't you angry?
I'm like, fuck that.
Stop trying to
I was like, like, anyone, don't tell your friends they have the right to be fucking angry. It's like, you have no right to be angry. Like that's the thing. Or like, oh, this person did this to me, so like I'm pissed off at them. I'm like, fucking get over it. Like, and I just hate when people give you permission, literally give you permission to feel shit. And it's just like in this situation, like people are like, oh, I was in the rain, it was shit, it was cold or whatever. I'm like, just start running in the rain. You know how nice it is running in the rain when you're cooking and like the water's keeping you cool. Like you can flip that so easily.
I think that's totally, I think that can be situational. You know what I mean? Like, say something's terrible has happened to someone, like, oh man, I'm just feeling down about it. I think it's like, you can validate feelings, but when in situations when it's like not something logical, it's like, people need to be snapped out of that for sure.
I'll give you an example. I had a close friend of mine. It was actually my housemate, and he was in a relationship with a girl who was also my housemate. Anyway, she ended up leaving him, and then not long after, she started dating another person in our friend circle, and like kind of a shit go, whatever, it's their thing. And he was quite upset and pissed off about it. And then everyone's like, yeah, you got every right to be pissed off and all this. And then I went and chatted to him one day, and I was like, kind of like not going to play like the sad sob story. I'm like, you don't have any right to be sad. Like fucking like get over it kind of thing. Like, in a nice way, but like, man, you've got the right to is to be happy and like move on and be your best self. And then it was something that I kind of thought at the time might have been a bit harsh, but then it helped him pull it out of it. Because it's what he needed to kind of hear. Like it was like, he didn't need to hear someone else go, yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah. Because then you just build more hate towards that
story.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, oh, he has every right to be this. I'm like, fuck, like you're just keeping this going longer and longer. You got to break that out of that as soon as you can.
It's just perspective. And that's what they like, Alex Hormozy is a guy that he says when something really bad would happen in his life, it's really natural. And he said when something bad happens in people's life, it's natural for people to feel bad about it at first. But after 10,000 times of thinking about that thing, at the 10,000th time, you don't care anymore. You're just like, oh, whatever. And he says he uses this trick called the veteran's mindset. So when something really bad happens, no matter what would happen, and I think he used the example of someone in his family dying, he would feel the emotion and feel it and whatnot. But then after that, after he's felt it, he would go, okay, what would the veteran in this situation do? So after this terrible situation happening for the 10,000th time, imagine what I would feel like. And then he said he would just choose to feel like that. And there's another quote that goes with that. And it's something like, you owe yourself the justice of feeling the way that you want to feel, or something like that. It's like, you don't deserve the disservice, or you don't deserve the injustice of feeling bad. Essentially, it's like, why would you want to feel bad? What's it gonna solve? Because
I think there's a difference between feeling bad and kind of like mourning, or like being like feeling those emotions. Because it's like, if someone passes away, like, it's almost not like you feel bad. It's like, it's not obviously not good, but it's this like love for that person that you should feel that. Like, that's something that's
feel
like,
it and let it pass.
Yeah,
Don't dwell on it.
Yeah, because I don't think you want to be like a robot and be like, oh, someone passed away, and like, I feel nothing. I don't want to feel bad. Like, but you've got to like sit in that for a while and understand why. But I think it's just like, again, once it consumes you, that's the thing. I don't think you want to be consumed by emotions, or for a long period of time,
or once it repeats.
Yeah,
I think that's it's like, you hear someone say it once. Yep. If they say it again, it's like, you've got to get in quick, because it's like, now you're starting to repeat. And when you repeat, you're just bringing yourself down. You can't repeat things, you know? You're like, I'm really sad about this. Yeah, okay. Tell me about it, blah, blah, blah. Great. And then they say it again. It's like, oh, well, you just told me that. You know, it's like, now
you got to understand
let's change your mind. Let's look at this differently.
You got to understand why, like, what people are trying to get out of you as well in that situation. So just say someone keeps coming to you and keeps telling you, I feel this way. I'm like, what do you want out of me right now? Do you want a shoulder to cry on? Do you want someone to give you like, do you just want to talk to me? Do you want me to try and give you advice? Are you just doing this to fill your own wants and needs? Do you actually want to solve this problem? Or do you just want that little bit of gratification over again? It's like this kind of like loop we're in, where it's like, I tell you this sad story, you tell me nice words about myself, I go home happy, I'll come back tomorrow and do the same thing. It's like, is that just is it a constant loop of like self-satisfaction, or you do actually want to solve this problem?
Yeah.
It's a good question to ask them too, and it does sound harsh, but if you're a good friend do it, like, why are you sad? Like, what are you doing to get out of this sadness? Like, what are you doing to solve that problem? What are you doing to stop feeling that way? I'm not going to come here and tell you like, oh, it's going to be okay, unless you're going to actually go ahead and work on it. Like, what are you going to do to stop feeling this way? If you're not going to do anything, then I don't want to hear it about it anymore.
Yeah, like,
or you give them advice they don't take on board, and they come back and say, I told you what I think you should do. You didn't do it.
Yeah. I think that's good in relationships with girls, or relationship with your mates as well. Like, if you don't set a strong boundary, then your relationships become centered around someone else's problem, which I think happens a lot, then you're just going to get drained of energy. I've definitely had a situation like that before where, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but I think it could be important to touch on, where I had a friend who wasn't changing the problem that he had. And no matter how many times I would try and give him a solution, and he was asking for solutions, but then wouldn't change, it got to the point where I said, I can't be friends with you anymore, man, because you're not respecting yourself or clearly me enough to take something on board. Yeah. You know, so like,
well, either like not be friends or not have that conversation. Like, I got to the point like, I can't talk about this anymore. Yeah. Like, I've told you what I think you should do. You've heard that. You haven't used it, and you keep coming back. Yeah, it's like my stance on this hasn't changed.
I think that's even better, actually. Yeah. That way you don't have to lose a friend. You can just say, hey, we're not talking about this anymore.
Yeah. I've told you what I said. You haven't listened to it. Yeah. We're done with this topic. Yeah. You're just wasting my time and your own.
Yeah. I like that a lot better.
100%.
That's really good.
Back to, I'm still so intrigued. I love storytelling. Like you said, you want to hit
10 minutes.
Easy. The art of it. I can definitely understand when you say that you get a video of you racing versus like an artistically made film, because like the shots, the music, the scenery, it all plays into like building some kind of emotion in someone. How do you have like a thought pattern to like how I want to create an emotion? Do we sit here, we choose the music, we choose the shots? Is there a big like storyboard to your stuff, or you kind of let it flow through?
Kind of like, I'll go into it, like me and my filmmaker Sam Purdy will I'll pitch him an idea, and the whole idea like would be around like with clarity. It was like, I want to show what I'm doing right now in my life and the change I've had. And then we'll like do voiceovers and stuff. So like narrate it. So we'll have like a talking aspect, a visual aspect, and then like the obviously story of where I'm going. with A Brighter Tomorrow, I went to him and said, hey, like, we want to focus on more or less Zach, the kid coming up, and then the point of where I'm at now with helping others and trying to be a good mentor and giving back in that way to hopefully inspire others to give back and show that, like, oh, you can help other people and still do well yourself. So that race weekend, the young kid I helped, he ended up winning and I won as well.
Oh,
and
nice.
it was just like a little cherry on top at the end.
That's so good, bro.
But it was the fact is, like, you can help someone progress and win, and then you can also win in yourself. But it was funny, like
That's great.
I heard he won at the top, and then it was just like, oh, my weekend's made now, and it takes that pressure off me doing well. And then at this race on the weekend, he won again, and it's almost just like takes this pressure off me because I was like, well, I've won in a way, like in that sense, I've already won. So it takes the pressure off you feeling like you have to perform because the person that you're helping that you want to see do well is performing. And it's just like, I get like at the end of the race, like I just want to see him and be like, congratulate him.
I love that. That's dad vibes there.
Yeah. Because you do at a certain point, like as much as I do enjoy doing well and I like pushing myself, it just doesn't, like, you do something for so long and it just kind of loses its flavor or taste in a way. If you can make someone else feel that way, especially coming up, I'm like, okay, that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a good story, bro.
Yeah, it's cool. In the video, like my mate just finished it and it's just like, it's really cool.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I can show you guys after.
100%.
Where do we find all your stuff, all your videos and everything like that?
Just Dean Lucas on YouTube is where I'm like pushing all my content. I've got a podcast, The Off Track Experience, where I'm trying to put more effort into that as well. Or just my Instagram, Dinos Mykonos on Instagram.
Done.
What's next in the line? What's in the pipeline for you?
The next, trying to, like, at the moment, just trying to kind of grow the podcast a little bit more, trying to get more cool guests on. Still training. Like, I'll go to Tasmania end of March to race like a world enduro. It's not really what I do normally. Normally I just race downhill. Enduro is more like stage races and they're a bit longer, but just for fun, I'm going to go over there and race in that. And then end of May, start of June, I'm going to head to Europe and go race the World Cups again for downhill.
Nice one.
Sick.
Pretty flat out. So just training, like head down, kind of trying to produce more content, trying to do cool videos, trying to do the podcast and then be an athlete at the same time.
Very cool.
Trying to balance
very wholesome
life. Are you going to take time in Europe out to go actually enjoy Europe?
I'm going to try to a little bit. It's going to be a bit hectic at the start because I think we've got like 4 races in 4 weeks.
True.
So that's like finish one on the Sunday, literally get and go to the next one. So I'll try and break it up a little bit. But it's definitely, like I said, it's hard when you're like back to back races.
For sure.
But if I do get free time, I want to try and explore more and do stuff. Like even talking to my friend Sam, like let's just go to like Norway and go film a video in Norway or something. Like
so beautiful.
Just exactly like just we have the opportunity to do it. I would rather pump money into that. And it's like investing not only in myself, in my enjoyment for riding and just life, but then if I can create cool content that then people want to consume, then you can make money off it that way. So it's like kind of doubling down and
the way the future content is like, I say it's the way of the future because it's how you can connect one person to the entire world. You don't have to, go and visit them in person like back in the day. You can just go put a video out and the entire world can, learn the lesson you're trying to teach, or it can just connect with you. So I think
just inspiring as well, because even at the end of hopefully this year might get pushed back depending on time frames and where I'm at, but I want to come back to Australia I come back around the start of October, and I want to do a thing where I want to ride from Hobart and Tasmania to the top of Cape York on a road bike. And I want to try and do podcasts and like talk at schools and stuff on the way. And like I said before, like when I was a young kid and I kind of overcome like the depression, anxiety and pull myself out, like riding was a big part of that like pulled me out of that. So I'd love to like kind of tell that story to kids and like on podcasts and talk to other people as I'm like on this ride up. And because it's like the bottom to the top, it's like kind of the whole like idea with depression is like you're at the bottom and then you can get to the top. And it's like, as I journey up, it's like talk to people about how they came out of their battle with whatever and how it's helped them. And I think that would be really cool. And then film the whole thing and create content. And because I watched Ned Brockman, what he did, and that was
amazing.
A big, like I've wanted to do something like this for a while. And I came close to when the fires were happening back in 2019. I was actually out one night and I was just like, I want to help. I want to do something. And I was a little bit drunk. Anyway, I got my road bike out of my car and put like Christmas lights around it. And I was like, I'm going to ride from Sydney to the Gold Coast. And that was going to be like to raise money. But like, this is like me pretty drunk. It was like 12 a.m. I was telling my mates, I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. It's going to be sick. And I like fully got geared up and started riding. And I was just like, kind of had this moment of clarity where I was like, what are you doing, mate? You're like
12 a.m. drunk.
12 a.m. drunk. You got Christmas lights around your bike. Like the heart of gold at the time. But I was like, not the move here. And like I had my mate. I was like, you're gonna drive my van, and he's like, dude, I got to work next week. Like all the like there was nah, not the one. There was way more planning that needed to go down. But then I kind of put it off because of COVID and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I saw what Ned Brockman did, I was just like, yeah, that's kind of like lit a flame under my ass and got me like, hey, let's make this happen. So
I expect Christmas lights.
yeah. At some point.
Epic. That'll be awesome, man.
That's very
absolutely awesome to hear your story. I think from the moment you walked in, you told me a story about a tattoo. I'm like, yeah, I want to hear more stories. So thank you so much for coming on. And Instagram is the best place to find you on your YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So we'll put that somewhere.
We'll link it in somewhere.
Around here.
Yeah. I'm sure if you write Dean Lucas, I'll probably pop up. There's not as many Dean Lucases as the Adam Greens.
10 in this one area, man.
10.
Yeah.
It's actually 3 go to this gym.
Yeah. There's 2 waiting in the other room. Perfect.
Awesome. Dude, thanks so much for coming on today. Really appreciate all your time. Make sure you link up. And we're really keen to see the videos. You know, best of luck competing. When are you competing again?
End of March.
Okay.
End of March is the next
one. A little bit of rest time.
A little bit of break, yeah.
Nice.
Keen for the big ride too. That'll be
absolutely.
Big adventure.
I keep telling people, so like one of the things that I'm trying to hold myself to, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
I like that.
Integrity,
and you just
for sure.
speak it into like existence. You just keep saying it and then it eventually happens.
Yeah.
So
As soon as you say,
I'm going to tell everyone you said that. Already.
Yeah.
I know, but even I look at that, man, like it's going to be challenging, but it just seems like such a cool adventure.
That'll be the first reel we post is just you saying, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's
the first thing.
Yeah, adventure. People need more adventure, like more like back in the day, someone would sail across the world, you know, like people don't adventure much these days. So
well, just to know that, like, imagine, again, I always think about when I'm older and I can look back at my life and be like, oh, I rode to the top of Australia to inspire people to like overcome depression, and like that helped me and I can help them. And I just want to be like this old guy that's just like had all these fucking cool stories and lived, like really lived and pushed myself. So.
Really lived is such a good, like really lived. I hear that a lot, but it's such a good little phrase.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like this, you when someone says it, you know what they're talking about.
I've really lived. I've seen stuff. I've had days.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that only comes from like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
But you know what else it is, bro? It's integrity, because so many people say that they want to do all these things. I don't think there is a lack of people who say they want to do cool things, but there's a lack of people who actually do the things they said they were going to do.
Man,
and I think that's
dreams are like table salt. Everyone's got them.
That's good. Not everyone wants to finish one whole thing of table salt though.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
I was just trying to put some twist.
Dime a dozen. Like everyone's got dreams, but
everyone's got dreams, but not many people actually live.
Not many people drink a cup of salt.
Yeah. Let's go live some dreams. Let's make it happen. Thank you so much for coming on. Keen to hear more stories. Keen to watch your videos.
Sick.
Awesome. Sweet.
On behalf of Brotherhood and Brotherly Love, this has been an epic episode. We'll see you on the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Share. Tell your mates about it. If something here has resonated with you, please let someone know. Please share it as much as you can, because we just want to spread the good word.
Smell, taste.
Hit that ding.
All right, let's wrap that bad boy up.